Okay, guys, I know there is a lot of pros and cons when it especially comes to the SF1000 wheel from ThrustMaster on Xbox. And I can say, being an Xbox player, that I still think the wheel is worth the $350 to $60, whatever it is listed now. And I will tell you why. This is a very, very firm wheel. You have a phenomenal grip here, especially with the racing gloves. And let's just take the buttons out of the equation, okay? The force feedback felt through the wheel is phenomenal. The T-Chrono paddles make shifting so easy. And I don't think there is a wheel out there that is constructed this well. So we have the shifters. The stock ones are on here right now. My Chrono pedals are being sent off to customize so I don't accidentally touch it so much. And even that, one of the biggest things that I don't know if this was intentional or not, but you can be paralyzed from the waist down and you can have this steering wheel. Because option one, the paddles give you throttle and brake. Now, I've done a video of testing it and comparing times just right out of the gate with zero practice. And I did do a race with it. It was actually quite fun. So let's say you're paralyzed from the waist down. Yes, you can play on a controller, but you can also have that sim racing experience of feeling the force feedback through a wheel and being able to use your throttle, upshift, your brake, downshift, turn, apply the throttle, which is not that hard. Now for me, I did find it easier in automatic just because it was no practice. I do suggest ABS because it was easier to lock up because of the travel, but you can apply the throttle out of the hairpin turns as slowly as you like. That to me opens the door for a wider audience. I do not know if that was their intentions, but it is definitely something that you can have where you do not need pedals. Or if you just don't have the space for pedals, you have a grade A wheel that you can do all of this with. Then you have option two, which then you have your clutch and a handbrake, which I also love because I will do my rally racing 90% of the time in my F1 wheel because I can control the handbrake. If I want to use all the handbrake, I can. If I just want to just dab it a little bit, I can dab it. Then you have option three, which is clutch on this side, clutch on that side. Now this is not to Xbox users, but you do have option four where you can bind the paddles to whatever you want. But honestly, I think that's just as great. So we're going to go with option two, which is what I use. Now, we're going to get into the buttons for just a minute, but there's something that I think needs to be taken into effect, and that is, yes, there are frustrations with the bindings, but you are getting a heads-up display with their lights, a control panel with whichever one you want. Now, to me, buttons aside and bindings aside, that is also definitely worth the money. And this isn't a cheap little plastic wheel. I mean, this is the best feeling wheel that I've had as far as grip around the thumb. I've had no sore spots, although I do racing gloves. Now, we'll get to the cons for Xbox. yes, the button mapping is frustrating. I do wish that ThrustMaster or Xbox, because I don't think it's ThrustMaster. I wish Xbox would allow the software for us to be able to use all the bindings. So you do have to be unique in the way that you do set your bindings, but it can be done. You know, in ACC, for example, I do automatic wipers, automatic lights. So in ACC, I have X as my menus, my brake bias here, which is Y, and then B. So I go up on my traction control, down on my traction control. On F1, we have my overtake, which I do like being able to have two, because sometimes, like if I'm going around a turn, I want a little extra stability. I can keep my hand here, push down, and I can use that overtake as I wish. Because I don't do the toggle, I like to hold it down so I don't forget it's there. And I do find the D-pad a little frustrating. So normally what I will do during a race, if I'm in the MFD menu, is I just use my brake bias, go down, and I'll go click to the right, click to the left. Honestly, to me, it is simpler than doing this. So you just go down to whatever option you want, click, you're done. So, I mean, you have options and you don't have options, but honestly, there's always a way to find a sweet spot with the bindings that can make you really thoroughly enjoy the steering wheel. And honestly, there's so many great things about the steering wheel. The bindings, although frustrating, and yes, it would be nice to be able to have multiple settings, I would still buy this wheel 10 times over, each time over any other steering wheel. So that is pretty much just a quick rundown of why I think the SF1000 is most definitely still worth the money, especially in the $350 range in the US. Adding the pros, adding the cons, I think the pros win. The only con is the button binding on the Xbox. Everything else, you're still getting a phenomenal steering wheel. You're still getting a hand clutch for ACC, for F1, for iRacing, a hand brake if you need it, for any kind of other games. Like I said, WRC rallying and Dirt Rally 2. I use this for a handbrake. So there are options out there. You just kind of have to figure out your magic way of setting up the bindings that you need or would prefer, and just do the others on automatic. So there is a way. And also, you can be paralyzed and you can have the racing sensation of having a phenomenal wheel with all of the force feedback, with whatever base you prefer. I have the TSXW, but definitely 100% think it is still a good buy in 2024. All right, guys, I hope you like this. It's kind of quick little what I thought of the pros and the cons that I've gathered from people in the racing community, and then my thoughts on it. But feel free to hit down in the comments your pros and cons of the wheel, what you wish it had, what you enjoy that it has, what you think ThrustMaster could work on, what you think they got perfectly right. And as always, guys, we will see y'all on the next one.